Welcome back to Lenz's Comic Corner, classic slash non-classic. This is episode number 836 in Doubleshot. Is it 36? No, it's 37. Yeah, 37. Yeah, 830. Actually, last one's 835. Yeah. Yeah, 835, 36, Doubleshot number 729. I'm eventually going to fix Doubleshot numbers, but yeah. Alright, two more Spider-Man trades. First up, it is Spider-Man New York Stories. Collecting material from Amazing Spider-Man 634, 635, and number 7, and Web of Spider-Man Volume 2 issues 1, 3 through 5, and 7 through 11. Yeah. Web of Spider-Man, an anthology book. This Spider-Man originally was an ongoing series from the 80s. That lasted for 129 issues, surprisingly. Yeah, not a very long series for me, for all the Spider-Man books. It's by far the third longest of all the Spider-Man books. The longest is Amazing Spider-Man. Second longest, Spectacular Web Spider-Man, is the third longest. Yeah, this one, like one of the stories, is Captain America meeting with Spider-Man, and they reference the events of Avengers number 11 when he fought a spider robot, which is kind of Spider-Man's first, well, unofficial, one of his mini encounters with the Avengers over the years. Now, these are the stories from Web of Spider-Man that are collected in here. There's more Web of Spider-Man in the next trade. From issue 1, we have Last Stand of the Frogman by Sean McKeever, and Stephanie Bushma is the artist. Web of Spider-Man number 3, written by, which is Love Marriage, written by Jan DeMatteis and artwork by Val Schmicks. Western Promises from issue 4 of Web of Spider-Man, written by Frank Thierry and artwork by Eric Canty. Jan DeMatteis also does issue 5. He also does issue 8, and that's it. The issue 5 is basically Nobody, artwork by Chad Hardin, one of the many artists of Harley Quinn. Fashion Spreads, written by Joe Casey, artwork by Jim Mahfood. On Novel in Zio is drawn by Val Schmicks. Mark Guggenheim does basically 3 straight issues of Reflections, Negative Reinforcement, and Double-Edged Sword. Spider-Man Shield, that's actually the Spider-Man meets Captain America story by Carl Kitzler and Paul Kusakria. Making Mine Marvel is written by Kurt Busiek and Paul Ufty. And the backup stories from Amazing Spider-Man 634, 645. Yeah, a bunch of ones. These are done by Stan Lee and artwork by Marcus Martin. Yeah, Last Stand of the Frogman. It's basically Frogman making a brief return and then he retires. Yep. Those who know what Frogman looks like, that's what he looked like. He's probably one of the most lamest characters ever in the history of Marvel Comics. Yeah, his father, he's actually the son of the original Frogman, who was a Daredevil villain. I'm not kidding about that. This guy's father was a Daredevil villain. The next one is basically J. Jonah Jameson Sr. and May Parker on their honeymoon. La Merit. That's literally what this one is. It's them on their honeymoon. Travel around the world. It's a well-written story. The other one, the next one, is all about frickin' Hammerhead. Yeah, probably by far one of the most well-written characters in history of Marvel Comics. Yeah, this guy is a Jerry Conway creation. Yeah, not many people know that. He created by Jerry Conway. Doesn't know who Hammerhead is. He is essentially a guy who was a huge fan of 1920s gangster movies and, well, again, in the style of gangsters from 20s, so he dresses like a gangster from 20s. And he first showed up in a story where involving like gang war stuff. Yeah. It's just a really neat story with him basically just talking to an old man. Next one is basically about Ben Reilly. Yeah, there's a few stories about Ben Reilly in here. Yeah, this is one of the few times where they have the possibility he might be alive. And they have him in Italy of all places. Yep. And then we have this weird story called Fashion Spread. Basically, a Mary Jane taking on a fashion villain with Spider-Man. That's really what the story is. Has some good artwork. I actually like this art style. I wouldn't mind this in more, like maybe like a Doctor Strange book, but Spider-Man does work as well. Yeah, the next one is basically about a guy who, opened up with a guy trying to commit suicide. Yeah, Peter Parker, one of the many times was teaching. Yeah. It's actually all about Ben Reilly. Yep. Next one is all about the character Jackpot. Yep, Jackpot. One of her many stories outside of her own miniseries. This actually was her. When she appeared in these stories, this is actually the first. This three-part. This actually was the first time she appeared since her own miniseries, because she was a recurring character throughout Amazing Spider-Man for about 2 years, and then like after Secret Invasion, like actually it was like a good year, and then like right after Secret Invasion happened, the original Jackpot died, and then the woman this was actually technically supposed to be the person who took the name. No one just simply poses her. She took up the name Jackpot, wearing a different costume than her, and she was also in love with the previous one. Yeah, make her bisexual, despite the fact being a parent. Yeah, it's about her catching Shocker and of course catching Boomerang. Boomerang is responsible for the death of her husband. Yep. And she was asked why didn't because she's a superhero, why didn't she apprehend him? Because she was trying to protect her daughter, getting her to safety. Yeah, and this basically counts as being a jerk about it. Eventually, she has an encounter with Mr. Negative. Yes, this guy is a Dan Slott creation, and yeah, he shows up a story about Mark Buckingham. Yeah. Last known time this guy showed up was actually in the second arc of the post-Secret Wars Spider-Man stuff, where it's not a very good story at all. Yeah. Of course, Jackpot has a counter with a guy called White Dragon. He's a minor character from the 70s. I think he's one of his last known creations he did for this character. He was basically a Chinese gangster. That's basically what this character is. He calls himself Red Dragon now. Yeah. Of course, she has a meeting with Reed Richards over what's going on here. And then eventually look up, this is just a quick little three-parter. And eventually Mr. Negative is taken down. Well, supposedly. And of course, she of course lies to her daughter that the man who murdered her father got justice. And the newspaper says, nope, charges were dropped. Yep. Then we have the Spider-Man Captain America story takes on Sandman of all people. And we have another story where we have all these strange people. And they do various things and kind of like extraterrestrial beings. Yeah, kind of revealed at the end that they actually revealed the whole purpose of this was to have this one guy impress a girl. That's really the whole point of it. Yeah, which Spider-Man doesn't have a problem with because he always tries to impress girls. Then we have this Kurt Busiek story, possibly from the pages of Untold Tales of Spider-Man. Probably it's kind of a loose follow-up to it. Yeah. Just him and Stan Lee meeting up with various characters from the 60s. Yeah, Stan Lee. Yeah, and this story is written. This story, even though it's written by Kurt Busiek, it features Stan Lee himself, the way he looked back in the 60s. If you look at pictures of him in the 60s, this is what he looked like. Yeah, my guess he must have based his appearance with Jameson on his own appearance, despite trimming down his mustache. And we have a backup story. We have another story. This is basically the Amazing Spider-Man stuff. Yeah, with him, just various different stuff that Spider-Man does, and that's really it. It's a very good set of stories, and I do recommend it. I'm going to give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Really good. Excuse me. Next is The Extremist. This collects material from Spider-Man Volume 2, Issues 8 through 12, written by Fred Van Len and artwork by Javier Rodriguez, who does the first 2 issues, who does 8 and 9 with Patrick Offley, does issue 9, and Nick Drake does issue 9 and 10. Last issue is done by Patrick Lewis. Who is the Extremist? This guy. Yeah, this actually is all one story arc. Yeah, here's the thing about this story arc. It's basically Black Cat and Mary Jane Watson teaming up to rescue Spider-Man, who's been kidnapped by the Extremist because he disappeared. And the Extremist turns out he's a possible mutant. There's talk with Cyclops about this. Yeah, it's a really good story and ends with Mary Jane and Black Cat becoming best friends. It's a really damn good story. And also, at one point, they have the Extremists go after Jameson, who at this point was mayor of New York. Yeah, he was mayor from 2008 to about, I think it was 2014. He was mayor for a good 6-7 years in the Marvel comic publication wise. I'm not sure how long in the universe he was mayor, but he was mayor for a pretty good period of time. And this is damn good. Despite the trade said Amazing Spider-Man, it does not collect any issues of the damn series. It's all Web of Spider-Man. As why they keep it called just Web of Spider-Man, or typically just called Spiderman, no idea. Despite that, really good story. 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, really good. It's one of the few times that we actually have. This is actually probably the only one of two features in this comic book where it actually is a multi-parter, and so where it's actually more than like 3-part. This takes up a good 5 issues. It's a good 5-parter. Yeah, all right. So that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is going to be episode number 838 and Doubleshot number 830. Okay, but to next review.